Honeybees have three basic sources of nutrition, the first one being water, because everything needs water to survive. The second source of nutrition is nectar. This is where the honeybees get their carbohydrates and energy. The third source of nutrition is pollen. Pollen provides proteins, lipids, minerals, and vitamins for the honeybee. Pollen stimulates growth and maintains sustenance. Nectar comes from the floral plants, with anywhere from 5 to 80% sugar concentration, but the majority being around 25%. There are three main sugars in the honeybee's diet, and they vary in proportion in relation to the specific plant. The three are glucose, sucrose, and fructose. Carbohydrates are key to the production of energy. The average colony will consume over 750 pounds of nectar a year. The colony will convert the nectar into honey and energy. Keep in mind there are also toxic sugars. These toxic sugars can be detrimental to honeybee health. Bees are unable to digest sugars like lactose, rhamnose, galactose, stachyose, raffinose, mannose, mellibose, arabinose, and xylose. There is nectar that is toxic to humans as well as honeybees. Toxicity comes from the alkaloids in the nectar. This toxin can lead to alkaloid poisoning in humans if consumed in large doses. Mad honey disease is an intoxication in honey. The toxin graniatoxin is found in rhododendron in southern Europe and southwestern Asia. Honeybees collect this toxin then incorporate it into the honey, creating honey intoxication. If consumed, it has hallucinogenic properties similar to LSD or acid. Pollen is essential to brood feeding and bee bread. Pollen contains 5 to 25% protein, 3 to 8% lipids, as well as sterols and vitamins. Pollen is the only source of amino acids. There are 10 amino acids that aid in honeybee metabolism. Honeybees cannot acquire these 10 amino acids from anywhere else. Lipids and sterols cannot be broken down by the bees' bodies themselves. The bees need the chemical 24-methylene cholesterol to molt. This chemical is found in pollen. All insects need lipids and sterols to survive, but lipids are easier to substitute than sterols. Honeybees need vitamin B and vitamin C for brood rearing. They also need potassium, sodium, phosphate, magnesium, and calcium, but if consumed in excessive amounts, it can be dangerous to their health. The darker the honey, the more minerals, and the more variety of plants, the more vitamins and minerals available. Hydrate or dihydrate. Water is necessary for the honeybee's survival. Bees need water for two things: cooling the hive and diluting honey. The dirtier, the saltier, the better. Honeybees prefer water to be unclean because it is full of minerals like sodium and calcium. Substitutes. Bees that consume excessive amounts of sodium or that hang out in pools may need more salt in their diets. Pollen substitute must be equally digestible as fresh pollen. It must also be similar in taste, shape, and size. Substitutes must have equitable balance of nutrients that is found in fresh pollen. Fresh pollen is the best source for pollen, followed by substitute pollen and older pollen. Workers make three kinds of food for bees: royal jelly, which is reserved for developing queen bees; bee bread, which is consumed by all the bees, especially the brood, through pollen; lastly, the bee milk, which is made by the worker from the hypopharyngeal glands to feed the larvae. Honeybees use the enzymes in their mandibular glands to make nectar into honey. Queen diet consists of only the mandibular gland secretions for the first 2 days. The queens are fed through trophallaxis by retinue bees. After the first 2 days, they are fed a 1-to-1 ratio of the hypopharyngeal gland and the mandibular gland secretion. This glandular secretion makes up the royal jelly. Pollen and honey are also incorporated into their diets over time. Worker diet. Nurse bees feed the larvae progressively, a 2 to 9 to 3 ratio consisting of mandibular, hypopharyngeal gland secretion, and pollen. After the fourth instar, they are fed pollen, nectar, and honey directly. The pollen is important for their gland development. The workers will feed each other through trophallaxis. In harsh times of starvation, workers will break down their own reserves to feed the larvae. Drone diet. Drones eat the same as the workers, but just in larger doses of honey and pollen. Drones will also beg for food from the workers, but normally they will get honey for themselves. During the larval stage, drones are fed similar to the worker larvae.